Do straight guys even exist? I'm honestly starting to question that. But before you answer, please listen to this story and buckle up because it's a wild one. All right, so a few months ago, I did this story time about this straight guy. He was at a nightclub with one of my gay friends and a bunch of other girls. I noticed him because, to be honest, he was really, really sexy. Like, drop dead gorgeous. He was tall, he had blonde hair, he was fit, he had green eyes. He was pretty. So I noticed that this guy was with my gay friend. So I went up to him and I was like, hey, who's that guy that you're with? He's super sexy. My friend laughed. He's like, yeah, he is really sexy, but he's straight. And then I made some joke and was like, oh, that sucks. Like, honestly, I really just want to be able to go grab his package. And my gay friend was like, oh, you should go grab it. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you should go grab it. He'll think it's funny. So I was like, no, dude, I'm not going to go like grab your friend. I'm going to get arrested for assault. Really insistent that I actually should. So I figured I would at least go say hi to the guy. So I went up to him, I said hi, I started dancing with him, and this guy was really confident with himself. Like, he was dancing with me, another guy, no problem. We were getting pretty close while dancing. Like, I started touching his chest and everything. And then I told him that I thought he was really sexy, and he was like, thanks, man. Like, you're not bad looking yourself, but just so you know, I'm straight. So I was like, okay, no worries. But my friend told me that I should come grab your package. And the straight guy was like really confused. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, he said that you would think it was really funny if I came and grabbed it. And the guy kind of laughed a little bit, shrugged it off. And I was like, well, can I? And the straight guy paused. And then he was like, okay. So we're in the middle of the dance floor at Wildcat, which is the bar in my town. I stick my hands down this guy's pants and I grab it. Honestly, couldn't tell you how long I was grabbing it for. Could have been 10 seconds, could have been 30 seconds. He had to tell me to stop. But let me tell you, I got details. I mean, he's shaved, he's cut. I made a 3D mental map of that thing with my hand. Anyways, after that, I didn't see that guy for a few weeks. I ran into him a couple more times and like, nothing ever happened. I didn't get the opportunity to like hit on him or grab him again. So a few months ended up going by, and then my friend asked me if I wanted to go out with him and his friends, including this guy. And of course I was down. So I invited a bunch of my gay friends to join too. I told them the story that I just told you guys, and told them that it was my mission that night to like convert this guy. I was mainly joking, but like, you know, I'm serious as in, I do question if he's actually straight, and I did have a feeling that I might be able to like have a little fun with him. So we all decided that we would meet up at this club called Studio, which plays epic house music. And I assumed that we would probably all end up at an after party back at my house like we always do. Anyways, we meet up at this club and I see the straight guy. I give him a big hug. He gives me a big hug back. And I gave him the rest of my drink because I just don't really like drinking that much. He thanked me and was like, oh, like you have to let me buy your next drink. And I was like, no, like I'm good. And he was like, well, you have to let me do something. And I was like, no, man, you're good. Like just let me take care of you later with my mouth and we'll call it even. He laughed and I laughed and I was like, I'm just joking. And he was like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I know. And then we ended up talking about that for a little bit. And he basically like agreed right then and there that he would be down to let that happen sometime. He said he'd have to be in the right mood, but if I caught him at the right timing, why not? So we kept clubbing. I kept buying everyone drinks. This straight guy was kind of distracted with all the girls that were there, so I didn't really get an opportunity to hit on him right then and there again. But then it was almost 2 a.m, the clubs were closing, and I invited everybody back to my house to after party. I invited my gay friend who invited me out clubbing that night, and his straight friend, and I specifically told them, no girls allowed. Maybe that sounds weird, but I have after parties at my house all the time. There's never girls allowed. There's stuff that happens there with gay guys that I just don't think it would be good to have girls involved with. Anyways, we get back to my house, and the guys are meeting us there, and they show up about 30 minutes later, and they bring a girl with them. I don't know what they were thinking, but they did. So at first I was kind of bummed, but then, as the night went on, this straight guy was like literally all over me. Like sitting right next to me on the couch, letting me put my hand on his thigh, him putting his arm around me, him putting his hand on my thigh. I mean, he was getting way too touchy for a straight guy. And then I started talking to him about like pretty gay stuff. I was asking him if he had ever found like that special spot that guys have, and he said that he had. And I was like, well, would you ever let me find that spot for you? And he said yes. I asked him if he wanted to go upstairs, but he said no. He was like, maybe another time, but not right now. I think he was a little embarrassed with the girl there. I mean, this girl was all over him too. Like, they were making out throughout the night. They were really touchy as well. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. So as the night goes on, me and this guy are getting even more touchy. I mean, to the point that my gay friends are like making eyes at me like mind blown, jaw dropped, like could not believe that I was actually accomplishing what I set out to accomplish with this straight guy. And then I don't know how, but at one point I picked this girl up and I was like, oh my God, like you're so light. Like you feel like a twink. Like I could just toss you around the same way I toss twinks around. And I literally started tossing her around and stuff, and she was loving it. Like she was in heaven. She was talking about how excited it was getting her and like using terms that I can't use on TikTok because it would violate guidelines. So I kept like pretending like she was a twink and continuing to toss her around and like, you know, fake doing the act. And as I'm doing this, the straight guy comes up behind me and like hoists her up as well. And then we were both like faking something. We were totally joking, but like all of us were into it. At this time, two of my gay friends snuck off and went upstairs. Literally like 2 minutes later, I turn around, like we had stopped messing around, right? I turn around, this straight guy is in the middle of my living room with this girl. How do I say this? She was helping him take care of business. Like literally in front of all of us. So all of my gay friends are sitting there like, oh my God, like that is a package in my living room. It was a beautiful package, let me tell you. I honestly didn't really know what to do at that point. I didn't really know how to handle it. And I was also kind of bummed because I was like, shit, I wanted to do that. I don't want the girl doing it. Then the straight guy turns to me and he's like, hey, Tommy, like, would it be okay if we take this a step further? And I was like, shit, I don't care, but you're going to have an audience because we can't go anywhere. Somebody's up in my room. And he was like, that's fine. So him and this girl started, you know, taking it a step further in my living room. As this was happening, I went up close to him for some reason. I also don't remember what. And I saw his booty. He seemed to really like that. So I grabbed his booty and I was like, hey, like, is this okay? And he's like, yeah. So I don't know how to say this without violating guidelines, but let's just say I stood there and like helped this guy out while he was with the girl. I turned over to my gay friends and they're just staring at me, jaw dropped, like, what is going on? So that went on for a little bit and then everybody like finished and left. But what do you guys think? Is this guy actually straight? I don't think so.